Good afternoon. Welcome to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. Frank Granito in studio on Thursday, November 16th, standing alongside my partner, Kevin Coleman. John Kovacs will join us later on as we get you caught up on the rest of the semifinal action from the CIAC Championships. Look ahead to this weekend's state championship games, 8 FCX schools vying for a state title. And, of course, we'll get you ready for this weekend's football and continue looking ahead to the 2017 Turkey Bowl. Kevin, very impressive. 8 FCX schools playing for state championships, this year.
Yeah, well deserving too. It's a good representation of the conference, and again, just comes to show throughout this state why the FCX proves year in and year out why it's one of the top conferences, not only in this area but throughout the entire state of Connecticut.
Well, let me ask you this. I'll let you decide right now. Where do you want to start first? What's the show you've got, or game, you've got on your mind?
I think automatically we got to go to girls soccer because what happened last night in those 2 semifinal games was extremely exciting. You look at Darien Staples, a 3-2 thriller, and then you have Richfield Glastonbury, the 6 and the 7, the rematch of last year's Class L final between these two teams, and that was a scoreless tie all the way to PKs. And that game, especially that Richfield Glastonbury game, could have been 3-0, could have been 2-2. There was plenty of chances for both teams to score. You look at that box score throughout the end of the regulation, Frank, and you think to yourselves, oh, maybe that was just a defensive-heavy type of game. Both goalies played out of their minds, and Lauren Castle made some ridiculous saves to keep Richfield in that game. Otherwise, they're going home, and Glastonbury's going on to the final. Then what happens, they go to PKs after 2 scoreless overtimes. The second overtime, you could really tell both teams are pushing to get that goal to be able to move on and avoid PKs. You could tell both teams are avoiding that, but they went to PKs, and Lauren Castle made 2 terrific saves. And I give you credit. Faith Arnold, the freshman, coming up under pressure, scoring the game-winning penalty kick. So props to you, my man.
That's right. No, my soccer, what's up? No, listen, for me, before we even dive into the importance of this win and playing for the state championship now, really what it means to this program. You've got a lot of young girls on this roster. This was a turnover year. They struggle in the FCX tournament compared to the success they've had the past few years. To beat the defending state champion, a team that has had your number the past few years, this is big for the confidence that this team has now compared to competing against the rest of the state.
Oh, certainly, and Coach Ian Golding has to feel so proud for his team. This is a huge accomplishment considering, yes, they lost to Staples in the FCX tournament, but Staples was just so good this year. And, you know, I think you look at that game. I know St. Joe's ended up winning the FCX title, but you really felt like whoever was going to win that game between Staples and Richfield had a really great shot of taking home the FCX title. Now Richfield gets an opportunity to get back at Staples in the final. This is going to be a terrific game, a terrific way to end the girls' soccer season with 2 FCX teams who really fought tooth and nail all season long, and 2 teams that want to go back, especially the Tigers. They want another shot at the Wreckers.
All right, well, let's talk about the Wreckers semifinal matchup. They took on the Darien Blue Wave, and I think to the surprise of both of us, Kevin, this one an offensive shootout, 3-2. The Wreckers able to come away with the victory. Reese Sutter scoring twice, Olivia Ronca scoring for Staples, and Katie Ramsey picking up 2. Let's start on the losing side, Darien. First ever trip in program history to the state semifinals. They had a tremendous year. I was shocked to see that they had surrendered 3 goals. You're talking about a program this season with 12 shutouts. Chrissy Fiore was one of the best goalies, not only in the conference, but in the state all season long, and it's not a knock on her. Staples showed up and reading quotes from the players after the game. They got that feeling. It was a high-energy, high-paced game. We remembered the FCX championship, and we knew we were going to have to score goals. They put themselves in position to score goals. They converted, and it pays out in the end.
And look at that. They were playing at Fairfield Ludlow, too, where they lost to St. Joe's in the FCX title game. But you look at that game, and for Fiore, those 3 goals weren't her fault because, listen, as any great goalie in the world, not just in the high school level, but any level, those 3 goals that Staples scored last night, not many goalies are stopping those 3 goals. And, you know, she had a terrific year. She can't hang her head too much. The back 4 just couldn't hold on to what was a great performance by the Staples Wreckers offense. Reese Sutter, the sophomore, showing up in a state semifinal game like this. Staples has to feel great that they have a sophomore coming up like Reese Sutter because scoring 2 goals like that has to boost her confidence going to this final game. She looks almost unstoppable at times. When she's able to get hot, she's unstoppable. She's able to get her feet on the ball, blow past defenders, look towards net, find her open teammates, but also she takes initiative too. She's not afraid to shoot on net too. So this sophomore plays a lot of confidence, which is pretty rare for someone her age.
Obviously, the youngster being such a big part of the Wreckers' role, playing such a big role for the Wreckers' offense this year. On the other side, it was the senior captain. How about Katie Ramsey? 2 goals in the last 10 minutes of this one, scoring in the 70th and the 78th minute. They were trailing 2-0 entering the 70th minute, and Ramsey found a way to get it as close as they could. Of course, Sutter would score a goal in the 76th as well. That would be the difference. So, a great game all the way through, but the last 10 minutes of that one, Kevin, probably as exciting chunk of a soccer match as we've seen all year long.
Well, Staples head coach, Coach Beadle, was saying, he was nervous because it was 3-1.
Yes,
and once Katie Ramsey scored to make it 3-2, and that was an impressive goal. She scored from maybe 40 yards out, just a lofting ball that went over the keeper's head into the back of the net. Once it was 3-2 with the final 10 minutes, you don't feel safe because look at what this Darien offense is able to do. And when you have someone like Katie Ramsey, 10 minutes and they're down a goal, I don't feel too comfortable if I'm a coach as well. But again, the one thing I thought Darien struggled with this year was set pieces defensively. Look what happened. Staples scored on a set piece, and that hurt them. Because if they don't score on that set piece, it's 2-2, and that game's going to overtime. And at that point, who knows who's going to win that game? But it's just the set pieces again. And again, it goes back to Fiore can't hang her head because her defense lacked of covering someone in the box on a corner kick. And look what happened. Someone tapped it in. And it's not her fault.
Yeah, and you have to get the feeling if that game goes to overtime, it's probably going the Blue Waves' way, just with all that momentum shifting to them in the final 10 minutes. Looking ahead to Saturday's championship game now, Kevin, what side are you giving the edge to here, Staples or Richfield?
That's a great question because both teams are playing so well. You look at Staples, Reese Sutter. I like Staples' chances because they have a sophomore who's playing with a ton of confidence right now, a back four that's, again, coming together even after an FCI title loss like that, stepping up in the state playoffs. For Richfield, this is the underdog. They haven't been in this spot before. Staples certainly is the heavy favorite, I think, if you go into this game. But you look at Richfield, they're going into this with a lot of confidence because they beat a Glastonbury team they couldn't get by these past couple years. Going into this game, you have to feel good. But at the same time, I think Staples has to worry because Richfield is going to come in. They're going to start the game off right away. They're not going to slow the pace down or anything. They're going to go to goal. And if Staples is trailing a goal early on, I like Richfield's chances.
All right, who's your X factor? Similar to what we did yesterday. Which player on either side is going to be the biggest difference in this game?
We go back to the semifinal game against Glastonbury. I thought it was Lauren Castle. She played out of her mind. Again, some unbelievable saves for Lauren Castle. Again, the junior stepping up big for the Richfield Tigers in this state tournament. She made some world-class saves for the Tigers to keep them in that game. And I like Lauren Castle. If she's able to continue to play this way, the Tigers are going all the way.
I'm going to go to the other side. I like the goalie theme. I'm going to say Anna Savinsky wins your player of the match, and she is the difference in this game. The Staples is going to find scoring. I think we see Reese Sutter's name in the box score again. Maybe one of those senior record leaders steps up as well. But ultimately, I think Savinsky plays the best game of her career. That's going to be the difference in why Staples is a state champion by Saturday night. In Class L of the girls' soccer tournament, St. Joe's advanced on another big win. Maddie Freed, the freshman, 2 goals, Kev, and of course Jessica Manzo back in the box score as well. I think we're pretty confident right now that St. Joe's is in the best position for Class M girls volleyball, Class L girls soccer to take home a title here.
They are, but they're going up against the #1 team Ram, and this is going to be a tough matchup for St. Joe's. But again, you have to feel good that the underclassmen, again, another team that has underclassmen stepping up big, getting some well-deserved varsity minutes, especially in the playoffs. Maddie Freed scores 2 goals again. This is a player that is up and coming and only getting better. Jessica Mazzo, we expect to see her, create lots of chances for St. Joe's. Veronica War, we expect her to have a good performance. Again, we all agree and we all hope that St. Joe's is able to represent the FCIAC very well in Class L and take home again another state title.
All right, we're going to step out for a break here, but when we get back, John Kovach will join us. We'll talk a little bit about the Class LL Girls Volleyball Championship coming up. The Greenwich Cardinals are playing in that one, and then we'll shift our focus to another weekend of football. That's next on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
Had a sports injury or slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Orthopedics Walk-In Urgent Care gives you direct access to orthopedic specialists fast without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Orthopedics Walk-In Urgent Care can help. Open 7 days a week now at 3 locations. The iPark Building at 761 Main Avenue, Norwalk, 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien, or in the Westport Medical Center at 323 Riverside Avenue, Westport. Go to coastalorthoct.com. Like them on Facebook.
At Pamby Motors, we're not worried about being the biggest dealership. We're focused on being the best. We're dedicated to giving you the best experience we can. The Pamby Motors team is here to help you choose the right Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram in a friendly, pressure-free environment. And now, during our Black Friday sales event, get 0% APR financing for up to 72 months, plus $1,000 retail bonus cash on select 2017 Ram 1500s. Visit Pamby Motors, Route 7 in Ridgefield, PambyZone.com.
The leaves are changing, water temps dropping, and the sun is setting a little earlier each day. But there's still a lot of great boating, fishing, and coast time left before we see the first snow. And above all, remember, it's always summer at the Dock Shop. With loads of new fishing tackle and accessories, clothing, jewelry, and home decor, the Dock Shop is just what you need when you start to feel that New England autumn chill. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, dockshop.com.
CT City Lacrosse is dedicated to helping youth and high school players reach their full potential. Director Mike Nazaro, head lacrosse coach at Stanford High School, is holding boys and girls indoor winter clinics for the 2017-2018 season at Bobby Valentine's Sports Academy in Stanford. Find out more and sign up at ctcitylax.com.
At Budget Blinds, we're in business to frame the light, the day, and the night. So we give you an exclusive combination of high style, expert service, our no surprises pricing, and our no questions asked warranty. We believe that everyone, at every budget, deserves style and service. Isn't that a beautiful place to be?
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. Happy to welcome on John Kovac now, as we're going to get ready to shift gears towards football this weekend. But before that, John, we had the Class LL semifinals in girls volleyball last night. Greenwich Cardinals out of the FCX advanced to the championship game. You were with us for the FCX semifinals. You've seen this Greenwich team in person, John. What kind of a chance are you giving them now in the state championship against number 5 Amity?
Oh, I think they definitely have a chance. Very strong game when we saw them in that FCX semifinal doubleheader. I really was impressed with their teamwork. A lot of fight that team showed, and they're up against a 5 seed. I mean, I think they stand a real chance.
And this is Amity's second consecutive year in the championship game. They fell to Stanford last season. Kev, obviously there are a lot of big names on that Cardinals roster. For you, is Maggie Egan the girl that jumps off the page and needs to be the best player on the court?
Again, she's stepped up big. She's well deserving of that MVP award in the FCX title game. I think we expect to see her. If Greenwich wants to take home another title this year, it has to come through Maggie Egan.
It's funny because I think that Egan will step up, play another huge game again. But the beauty of this Greenwich roster, and I think it's very similar to last year's Stanford team, they've got those big-name players at the net, but it's the depth. If Egan is down, they can rely on Tara Ford on the opposite side as an outside hitter. You've got Nicole Wood. Adneres de Jesus was so good at that libero position. So even if Egan is down, John, I think Greenwich has options that will give them a chance to win this game.
Yeah, they are not a one-player team. They're a team with some depth. They're a team that can score on you different ways. They're not a one, you sometimes get a team that it's 1 or 2 girls and that's it. This is a team I think that has some depth, that's a more all-around team.
That game is on Saturday. Also playing on Saturday in Class M, we'll see number 1 St. Joe's. John, Kevin and I, we spoke with Dave Stewart as well yesterday. We are pretty comfortable saying that St. Joe's is going to be a favorite in that Class M championship game for girls volleyball.
Oh, no question. I mean, that is a team that definitely plays a team game, and we saw that in the games that we did in the semifinals and final at Fairfield Ludlow. That is a team that's got a system, that's well coached, that's disciplined. That's a team I would be surprised if they did anything but bring back a title.
All right, well, let's jump over to the gridiron now. We'll talk a little bit of football. 2 games involving FCIAC schools this weekend. Let's start with an FCIAC matchup. Bridgeport Central, Fairfield, Ludlow. They're struggling at the bottom right now, John, but this is a game both these teams take a lot of pride in, and it's usually a competitive one. What are your thoughts as the Falcons and Hilltoppers get ready to battle it out tonight?
Always gets back to me to last year's FCIAC tour, and that's when I was still a coach at Ludlow. And the Bridgeport Central captains from last year, when you said, are there any games that you've got circled on the calendar? Yes, whatever they, and Ludlow. That's one that they always think that's one that they can win. That's how they're going to come into it. And to be honest with you, I think Ludlow really has to be careful tonight to not lose that game. This is a team that's given up interceptions, that's given up early touchdowns virtually every game this year. And this is a Bridgeport Central team that knows how to get athletes in space, how to find them, and how to use them. You've got a couple of physical mismatches that are going to be out there on the field. I think Central's eyeing it. I think this is one that Central's really practiced all year for.
I'm glad you mentioned that they put interceptions out there, Kev. For me, this game is going to come down to turnovers. Central, there's always that risk of a fumble or two when you're running that triple option offense. But for Ludlow right now, they've had games this year with 5+ turnovers, and I'm talking multiple games with 5+ turnovers. If the Falcons are going to have a chance at winning a second game, they have to protect the football in this one.
Oh, they do. But at the same time, I think this Central team is a much more athletic team, I think, than Ludlow. And I think they're going to come out real fast, especially in this one against Ludlow, who John mentioned. And I agree with you. I think this Hilltoppers team circled this game
no question.
down.
They do.
Yeah, without a question. They're going to come into this game wanting to hit, wanting to outplay this Falcon team. And I think Central's going to come away with their second win of the year.
All right, the other game involving an FCIAC school, Greenwich at Xavier. They're playing this game at Kent Strong Stadium on the campus of West Haven High School. John, a little bit of a trap game potentially for the Cardinals here?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? I expected more out of Xavier. Maybe that was ignorance on my part, but I coached at Fairfield Prep. I coached in the SCC. I have coached against Xavier. And I've seen strong Xavier teams year after year, seen them in state finals. I kind of expected this to be a real FCIAC SCC showdown late in the season, almost an elimination game, or the loser was going to be clinging to state playoff hopes. And this is a game really that I think the biggest impact on the state playoffs is that should Greenwich win, they're not going to get the power points that they thought they would get.
No, they need to win this game to officially clinch a spot in the state tournament. A lot of people expecting them as heavy favorites here. And you're right. Beginning of the year, you look at this Xavier team, you knew there was a little bit of turnover with the coaching change, possibly a rebuilding season, but still you felt at this point in the season, at worst, they might be 6-2, potentially 5-3 if something had gone wrong. Sitting here 4-4 right now. The game has lost a little bit of its hype, but I also think this one much closer than the experts expect.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's a closer game. We will see. Greenwich, I think, is go. What does Greenwich hold back with Staples coming up on Thanksgiving, or do they show a lot of things? What do they focus on? What's their strategy coming in? How do they protect when they've got essentially it's a regular week, but you've got a Thursday game next week.
Yep. It's interesting, Kevin, too, because we talk about it. Okay, maybe it's a trap game. The Cardinals getting caught looking ahead to Staples, but similar to this week, Greenwich and Staples, that game, not as much hype as people would have expected probably by week 3. The Wreckers have kind of been on a slide as well. So just for Greenwich, the tough part now is you have to figure, okay, 1 win, we're getting into the postseason. We're confident we're going to get it, but how do you stay up and stay hot getting into the postseason now?
Well, you can't look ahead. You can't look to that Thanksgiving game. You can't look towards Staples. You have to focus on the task at hand, and that's Xavier. And this is going to be a difficult game, I think, for Greenwich. But at the same time, this is a Greenwich team that I really have enjoyed watching them play, especially on the offensive side. With Gavin Muir and JL Negron, that chemistry between those two, I've really enjoyed watching them play on the offensive side of the ball. And the defense has done a really nice job, too. And I really have enjoyed watching the Cardinals play because you compare it to last year, there's a drastic change of what we saw from the Cardinals last year to what you're seeing in 2017, because this is a high-flying Cardinal team that I don't know if Xavier is going to be able to stop.
Well, they're high-flying when they want to be, and I think you'd agree with that, Frank, because they can run it on you. They can play a little bit of smash mouth, too.
The interesting thing for me is, and it really just speaks to 2017, how football is played now in general, their run game, I think, majority of it is built through the screen game. They don't have to run between the tackles. Their line isn't as big as it's been. Tyson Camizio has been a pleasant surprise. I know the Cardinals knew all about him, but they could not have expected as much as they really got this year from him in that run game. But they do a good job mixing up screens through those slot guys to the outside. It opens up the run game. It opens up the deep passing game.
Line's not as big, but line's been certainly as dominant.
Yes.
That is a line that will come out, and even if they're outmatched size-wise, will push you around.
John, you wanted to go out of state quickly here before we go to break again.
I got to throw a shout out. My alma mater, Mount Olive High School in New Jersey, won state championship in its history. That was 2002, I believe. Playing in the state semifinals on Friday night, playing against their arch rival, who they've beaten once in their history, West Morris Central. I'll be watching that game probably as closely as anything in Connecticut this weekend. The Mount Olive only one loss this year. That to West Morris.
All right.
So it's going to be an interesting game Friday night. And then there's game Sunday I'll be following. And as my brother Jeff's team, the Colchester Cougars, playing for the Northern Connecticut Football League Championship, their A squad, playing for that on Sunday. So I've got a couple of games I'm watching, might not necessarily be ones we'll talk about on Nutmeg Sports.
Yeah, but it's a good week for Connecticut football to be idle, and I wouldn't want to watch the Dolphins over your brother's team either.
I wouldn't either. I wouldn't either.
We're going to take one more break here on Nutmeg Sports. When we get back, though, we continue getting ready for 2017 Turkey Bowl. John's going to add a new element you should be keeping an eye out for. That's next on Nutmeg Sports. Jet up on the HAN network.
The Kitchen Center offers quality cabinetry and affordable pricing. Visit our showroom for a free consultation with our professional design staff. For all your other home improvement needs, visit Northeast Building Supply, our full-service lumberyard and window showroom. The Kitchen Center, a division of Northeast Building Supply, 1470 Barnum Avenue, Bridgeport.
Dr. Stephen Molinaro and Peter Healy of Family Practice Dentistry and Laser Dental Care have served Ridgefield for over 22 years. Experienced staff offer gentle drillless techniques, preventative care, and cosmetic procedures in a relaxed environment. Grateful for the community's trust and support through the years, new patients and their families are welcome. Call today.
We know it's your busy season, and that's why Walter Stewart's Market is here to make things easy by offering the best of autumn under one roof. Walter Stewart's Market is your local one-stop fall shop. There are so many seasonal flavors to savor, and Stewart's has them all, from Blue Jay Orchard's local cider donuts to Vermont Farmstead cheddar and all of your favorite varieties of local apples and pears. Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street, New Canaan, and find us at stewartsmarket.com.
Want a new experience in car buying? Skep Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram with one of the largest inventories of new 2- and 4-door Wranglers. We are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Come visit our new Ram Truck Center. Browse our websites, skepchryslerjeep.com or skepdodge.net to find the new Jeep, Chrysler Dodge car, minivan, or Ram truck you've been looking for. Just 2 miles from both I-95 or the Merritt Parkway exit 44. Save thousands right now at the Black Friday sales event. Ends November 30th.
At Black Horse Garage, we fulfill all your sports car needs. We specialize in manufacturer-recommended service and aftermarket high-performance parts and installation. We have one of the nation's top storage facilities and offer a high-end collision department that understands your need for detail. Visit blackhorsegarage.com for more.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports as we continue to get you ready for the 2017 Turkey Bowl. Frank Granito, Kevin Coleman, John Kovach. Topic of the day, turnovers, John. How important are they going to be in this game?
After the turkey and the stuffing and the mashed potatoes, the turnovers will be crucial.
Is that before the turkey and the stuffing and the mashed potatoes?
Speak for yourself. 3 games at my house and breakfast will be served.
It's my first Turkey Bowl. Remember, I've always been working on Thanksgiving.
It's going to be. I'm glad you mentioned turnovers because we saw New Canaan against St. Joe's. They got themselves in trouble with turnovers. They were trying to mount that comeback, and turnovers halted it at times. it prevented them from really being able to seize momentum with enough time to recover from a late St. Joe's rally. Darienne's closest game of the season against Fairfield Ward, 4 turnovers in the first quarter. So both teams have been susceptible to it at times. Both defenses do a very good job of forcing turnovers as well, Kevin.
Well, they do. And I think Braden has been wonderful this year as a defensive end. Only a junior, too. And you look back to that Trumbull game we did, got a chance to talk to him after the game, just kind of talk about what his preparations were like this year. And I think he's learned a lot, especially from that senior class last year. What a great senior class that was for New Canaan. And he's taken that and used it to his advantage this year. And he's done a great job. He's got well over, I think, 9 or 10 sacks this year. And he's done a great job. And that he's someone that I think if you're Darien, you're that offensive line, certainly going to circle that name, because that's a guy who's going to try and get after Jack Joyce. And these are two quarterbacks. You talk about turnovers. Once they start leaving the pocket, especially Drew Pine and Jack Joyce, they've been known to be able to throw the ball over the middle. And 6 interceptions for Jack Joyce, 8 picks for Drew Pine. Those two quarterbacks have to be careful of when they escape the pocket. They can't throw to the other team because they've been known to throw interceptions that way.
John, of the two quarterbacks, who do you think more vulnerable to the turnover bug on Thursday?
I'm going to stick with Drew Pine because I was concerned, and God, it seems like for a long time ago, opening night, St. Joe's, and I said it on the air, he was carrying the ball with one hand. Has he fixed that? Will he protect? Because you know Darienne's going to tackle the football. It scares me a little bit. Plus, it's Thanksgiving. It's a rivalry game. Everybody's a little more amped up, a little tighter. It's going to be cold. It's morning. Most Thanksgiving mornings, you're dealing with a little bit of condensation. We never talked about it. Field's a little wetter around 10:30 in the morning, and that becomes a problem. If New Canaan starts giving the ball away, they could find themselves behind very, very quickly. Conversely, if Darien has a first quarter like they did against Fairfield Ward, they're going to let a New Canaan team that I'm certain they think they can pull away from early hang around, and we both know how dangerous that is, Frank.
For me, one of the big factors in controlling turnovers will be the play of Mitchell Pryor and Owen Shin. I think at times both these teams are going to have to rely on the run game. And, you know, you mentioned a guy like Eric Braden. Now you think about maybe carries are being taken away from Pryor, Kevin, because he's got to be incorporated into the blocking scheme.
Right.
He's got to be used to help chip Braden on the edge. They can't get him the ball as much. Owen Shin has been as versatile a player as we've seen at times this year, but there are other times where he's been completely stymied. So hot and cold, he's got to be a consistent player on Thanksgiving morning. Both these guys, John, have been susceptible to fumbles as well. So turnovers, obviously, in every single game are going to play a huge, huge factor. And the old cliche is the team that wins the turnover battle going to win this game. I don't know that you would be wrong going with that statement here.
And I think again, it's certainly it.
And John, sorry to interrupt, but just quickly is that I think if you're also Drew Pine, you have to be careful with Brian Minikis. I mean, the strong safety, 6 interceptions this year. He's been so dominant as that strong safety. He's even known to come up on blitz packages, able to put pressure on the quarterback, but he's kind of that field general. He's just kind of eyeing out, waiting for watching the quarterback's eyes. Wherever he goes, he's there, and he's got good hands. We know, able to go up and grab passes and get interceptions. So, Brian Minikis, if you're Drew Pine, you have to be very careful of watching out for number 6 on Darien.
Before we break today's show, John, interesting news developing out of New Canaan and Darien this morning, and it's worth mentioning because it could potentially have a huge impact on this game. Reports of a minor in New Canaan being assaulted by several Darien minors, a couple of whom are reportedly, according to sources, part of the football program.
What the New Canaan Advertiser have, Greg Riley reported this last night. Multiple sources. We have a New Canaan minor who was injured, as you said. 2 football players at least have been identified by sources as having been involved. Again, I want to stress, all this is allegations.
Yes.
The police in New Canaan are still investigating this. No names are coming out until if and when there are any arrests. We don't know that. Again, these just allegations. but it's a tremendous distraction, and I really hate this cloud hanging over this game.
It's interesting, and you look at it, we're standing here now, Kevin, we're within 10 years removed from high school. We can play that, we would never do anything like this. You go back, you think about a game like this, the emotion surrounding it, the immaturity. Kids are going to make mistakes. You just hope that it doesn't cost anyone the biggest game of their senior year or anything like that, and maybe it all is just allegations at the moment and we come out on the other end. But you're right, John, a big distraction, and we'll keep an eye on that. John, go ahead, do you have another comment?
What I think we all wish, and we've both coached, not commenting on where this story's going to go as it's just allegations being investigated, but we see this over and over again at all levels of sports and not just in football. At some point, when do we learn to keep ourselves out of these situations? We used to preach that when I was a coach. Make every decision like I'm looking over your shoulder.
And that's the beauty of growing up and being a kid.
Yeah, there is that.
That is what it is. We got a big day tomorrow. We're going to be back here. We're recording our Chalk Talk segment. John, Kevin, and I, we're hitting the film room hard. We're going to break down some of the key players and plays that you should keep an eye out for on Thanksgiving. You'll see that on our preview show next Wednesday from Boyle Stadium. John, Kevin, great work today, guys. Till tomorrow.
Till tomorrow.
Sounds good.
John, Kevin, I'm Frank. We'll see you tomorrow. Nutmeg Sports on the AK Network.